So just to get us started, my name is Thaddeus Gabriel. I'm the director for academic success and enrichment at NYIT, New York City of Technology, and I'm joined by
Ben.
Ben.
That's not Benjamin Yee from Pencil Spaces. We work with NYIT.
And my colleague, Madeline Leonard, also from academic success and enrichment. So today we're here to, just discuss a little bit about optimizing online tutoring session excellence, enhancing delivery quality. Really, our focus is if you have an online tutoring offering at your institution, which I think most schools have at this point. What are some things that can help us make sure that the quality of the session, like a tutoring session is like an hour, right? How do we make sure that online hour is really spent productively with the tutors and the students having the right tools to do that session? So I'm going to take you to a little bit of a journey of what we went through and also show you some examples like what we currently use. Just to get us started, goals for this session, as I mentioned, we hope to give you some ideas that can help you, but we also want, if you're doing something that we're not doing, please feel free to give us some suggestions. We're happy to learn from you as well. Everything that I'll be sharing in this presentation is in a folder that can be accessed via this QR code. I think they told we were informed we can put this on the Wahova app too, so I'll put that later on so you can access it there. But this QR code will be here, will be throughout the presentation. It will take you to a folder where this presentation lives, and also some of the resources I'm going to share with you also are in that folder, so that if you decide to use them for your own program, you have them right there. Just a little bit about our New York Tech campuses. We have our New York City campus, which is where I mostly spend my time, right in like middle of Manhattan by the edge of Central Park. And we have a Long Island campus in the town of Old Westbury. So not very close, but not very that far either. We sometimes alternate and work on other campuses as well. But just to know that even though we have two campuses, our departments kind of run as one unit. So I oversee both campuses. My colleague helps, works on things for New York City campus. So we work very collaboratively. So it's just one program in those two campuses. Office of Academic Success Enrichment, which is my department, just our responsibilities. We have our peer-led programs, which are our peer tutoring, which is what we'll talk about today, supplemental instruction, and the peer success guide program. We also have other responsibilities such as, we deliver academic skill building workshops, we develop student success modules, our first year student course in Canvas, and also we manage like our software platform for appointment scheduling. And just to note that this is done with like two professional staff, myself and Madeline, and then we have about 70 student leaders or student staff that work for our department that help us, run these programs and initiatives. Also, just to note, we are presenting on two other topics. Yet tomorrow I'll be presenting on our Success Guide program, and Madeline Leonard this afternoon she'll be presenting on our online student success modules. So just a little plug there. So I'm going this to fairly quickly so that we have time to spend on really the main topic that we are here for. We have, as I showed you, we have Learning Center New York City, Learning Center Long Island. We have like physical locations where tutoring happens, but we also have what we call Learning Center Online, which both the New York City campus tutors and the Long Island tutors can tutor students online. Meaning, if you are a Long Island New York tutor, you can tutor a Long Island student online. You can also tutor a New York City student online. Our campuses tend to have different concentration of majors. For example, New York City has a lot of engineering and architecture. Long Island has a lot of life sciences. So those tutors of, let's say, biology and chemistry in the Long Island campus are now able to help students in New York City, which has really helped us create a balance. And also, I think Learning Center Online has really expanded our days and times of tutoring, meaning we tutor 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., kind of like 7 days a week, which, outside of business hours, our in-person tutoring is Monday to Thursday during business hours. So the ability to tutor online during those times has really helped expand our tutoring program. So in terms of the number of students, we have about 3,500 undergraduate students at the new campuses. Our Learning Center Field Tutoring, we have about 2,500 tutoring sessions a year, about 35 to 40 tutors, 452 Ts, and 70 to 90 kind of courses tutored. So just give you kind of a volume of our tutoring operation. All right. So, and also who are our peer tutors? I think this might be similar profile to other institutions. Obviously high GPA students, sophomore, senior, they get recommended by faculty. They have to go through an application interview and training. These are some of our tutor training topics that we require students to go through. We are also a CRLA Level 1 certified school for our tutor training program. So just an overview of what our tutors are and what they do. So next we're kind of going to go into kind of the main part of the topic, which is the online tutoring platform. So does all of you here have an online tutoring program? Or yes, kind of? No? Okay. For those that do have an online tutoring program, what do you use kind of as your platform, if you don't mind sharing?
Absolutely. So not all of our programs do. Our STEM side, I know they offer it. I think they use Zoom sessions. And then for my side, I'm the Writing Center coordinator. We use WC Online, which is like the standard Writing Center one. But the reason I'm really interested in this is we're not going to use WC Online next year, so I need to look at alternatives.
Anybody else?
So we, during the pandemic, shipped to Blackboard, Collaborate Ultra, and then realized like the connectivity issues, and so once we kind of came back to person, we all but suspended online, but now we're kind of running back into more distant students that are part of our program we're trying to support. So it's kind of a mash of you use Zoom and you use Teams and you use Skype and you use FaceTime, and we'll see what works, what pans out best, but it's kind of a amalgamation of like all the process.
We use Zoom. We have drop-in, and we also have appointments. We do academic coaching, but we do and math coaching, but we also do all the courses pretty much we're at Ozarks Tech, so it's the Tech Community College.
Where are you based?
Ozarks Tech in Springfield, Missouri.
That's what I thought. I'm from Missouri.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It used to be what you see with change.
Yes, that's what I knew it as.
Yeah.
TC. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So good to know so that we have kind of different platforms being used. So I just want to show you a little bit of a timeline of our journey with online tutoring. So October 2018 was when I first started an online tutoring program at New York Tech. So at this time, everything was in person. Students would come to the Learning Center, meet one-on-one, just traditional in-person tutoring. This was a slow start because, at that time we had trouble convincing students to do it. To tutors, I would ask them, hey, why don't you become available for a few hours online? You can work from your dorm, you can work on the weekend in the evening. They really didn't want to try it as much at that time. Students were also reluctant to try it. But we worked hard, we promoted it, we pushed it, and then by a year and a half later, we reached this really great balance of 33% of the sessions were happening. I didn't make this up. This was actually a real data, but I'm happy that it turned out this way. So this is a beautiful pie chart, if you can imagine it. So 33 in New York City in person, 33 Long Island, and 33 online. So I was really happy. I'm like, okay, we have now good balance. Students are getting the benefit of both. But then we all know what happened in March 2020. And then the pandemic, and we went 100% online, right? So between those two dates, we went 100% online. We were very happy. We're not happy that the pandemic happened, but we were very happy that we were prepared, that we didn't have to create an online tutoring program in the midst of all of that. So I think that everybody now started using it. It became our only way of tutoring for a while. And then between then and now, So we came back to in-person tutoring 2021, but between then and now, we are getting some students to come back in person, but now we're having the reverse challenge of, hey, you can come in person now. You know, we have a learning center, you can get tutoring there, but majority of the students, the tutors themselves, they prefer online tutoring. I think from my preference, I always like having a balance, but obviously online tutoring is here. It's gonna continue to be probably the main form of tutoring for a long time. So that's why, you know, I was kind of motivated to share our journey so that maybe it can help you make certain decisions for your program as well. So when it comes to the platforms, between October 2018 and May 2023, we are using a platform called GoBoard. This was a platform which was fairly famous in the online tutoring kind of space during that time. They were kind of early starters of creating platforms just specifically for tutoring, not just for meetings. So we were working with them for a while, and then their company got sold at that time, and then the new owners kind of decided to discontinue the platform. So we were left with no platform at this point. So we had to find a new one. And since we already had a lot of experience in a platform kind of made for tutoring, it was kind of hard for us to adapt something that's just made for meetings, right? Like a lot of the platforms at that time, it's like, you go online, you meet, maybe they might have a whiteboard, it's very basic. So we really wanted to replace it with something that kind of mirrored that experience or improved that experience. So we kind of didn't want to go backwards. So from then till now, we've been using Pencil Spaces, which we'll talk a little bit more about soon. And then we continue to use that. But Zoom is always a platform for everything, right? So because students take classes on Zoom, obviously our institution has a Zoom partnership. We do use Zoom for backup for certain courses and things like that. So that's kind of our journey. So when this happened, you know, and this is something I hope that will help people that are going through this process, is how do you make a decision on which platform is best for you, right? So that was the question. So what we did was, you know, we thought about, okay, an online tutoring platform can provide a lot of different things, but what are our priorities, right? So we thought about, you know, the 2D experience, like the tutor experience, video quality, the whiteboard tools, recording, administrative tools. Now there's a lot of AI tools. So we kind of listed all of these things. And then what we did was we started ranking them in terms of priority. Which ones are out of the highest priority for us, which ones are medium and low. So that obviously everybody wants something that does everything, but if we had to choose which ones rise to the top, and that I think helped narrow down our choices. And this is kind of the sheet that we created, and a blank version of this is available to you in the folder as well. So we call it NYIT Platform Needs per Function. So this is really when detailed, right? Do we need scheduling? Do we need audio, video, texting, and chat? Do we need screen functions, recording, whiteboard tools? So based on our experience up to that point from online tutoring platforms, what tutors told us, what tutees told us, and what we experienced, we really listed these in detail, ranked them in priority, put some notes. For example, for us, scheduling wasn't a priority at that point because we had another platform for scheduling. But all of the inside the meeting features, the screen functions, the audio, the video, the recording functionality, those are very, very important to us because we wanted to continue what we had or improve it some way. So there is a blank version of this for you in the folder, and you can take a look at it, you can adapt it to what you want. So this was really what we are using to, when we get to the point where we were researching different platforms. So this sheet is also in the folder for you if you want to adapt or use it. We will list the platforms. We'll put their webpage there. And between myself, Maddie, and our graduate assistants, we would go look at their videos, look at their website and feedback that people have posted and things like that to really categorize, does this platform address our priorities, right? Do they have the things that we need? These are examples, so don't pay attention to them, but yeah, you could use this type of approach if that works for you. And that's what we were using to have our meetings, like our meetings with Pencil Spaces, right? When we started having conversation and our meetings with other companies, we're like, okay, this is what we want. Does your platform do this? Show us how it does this. So after going through like this kind of thorough process over a couple of months at least, obviously we decided to go choose Pencil Spaces for our platform. And then once we did that, we have the contract, now we can start using it. We had a very quick turnaround to try to prepare our tutors to use it, right? So a couple of things I wanted to share here that helped us were just using the existing resources. So if you're working with a platform, really look for the things that they already have developed. So we use the articles and help space, in the help center, the guides and articles that they had. They had a YouTube channel. They still have a YouTube channel with some tutorials. So we didn't want to recreate things, especially if you're pressed for time. Why not use what's already there? If the platform or the company offers, sometimes sessions that they offer to tutors as well. So Ben was meeting with our tutors to train them how to use the platform. So that kind of saved me time of creating a training and all of those things. So first, I would say use what exists already. Don't, all of us that, wear multiple hats and we're busy. So, but the other one is like, you will have to create something specific for your institution. So because sometimes there could be a lot of resources, but they're not specific to you. So what we did was we quickly created, and Maddie takes all the credit for this one, for quickly helping us create a guide. Again, it has a lot of the information that the Pencil Spaces guides have, but we customized it to our own needs and wanted to focus what tutors actually need to focus on, how to create their accounts. We created some conventions of how they should name their spaces, guidelines of video and recording and things like that. Just so what are our requirements? What are the things that they're required to watch? Videos that are required to watch, we embedded them in here. How to create a space, how to name a space. So some screenshots just to really help them, guide them, focus their training. And this is in addition to kind of the session that they had with Ben. Obviously, we meet with them individually and periodically in groups to go over things, but this was very helpful to have for them to refer to as they start learning it. And it's also part of our new tutor onboarding at this point. We highlighted some new videos, select videos that we want them to watch from the resources, and then also guide to all the resources, links to all the resources as well. And then contact us if you need help. So we created this quickly to just help focus the resources to the tutors, tied to our Learning Center policies and rules, so that they have one dedicated resource for just helping them get acclimated to the platform. Again, this is also included in that folder. I've included the whole slide, so if you want to take a look at it for your own use, please feel free. So next, again, going back to kind of the beginning of the presentation, what I wanted to focus on today was, when you are in a session, what are the tools available in that platform that make online sessions like a great experience for students, right? So depending on the tools that they have available, depending on the ease of use of those tools, that's going to really enhance the tutoring experience. So I can't show you everything or highlight everything, but I can show you a few of the tools that our tutors have repeatedly used and shared, are valuable to them, and I have some screenshots and examples to kind of give you an idea of what they look like. Does that make sense so far? All right, so these are a few of them. So I have following slides to show you some screenshots, but just to name a few: labeled and organized whiteboards. So students like the ability of adding multiple whiteboards, being able to organize them and label them. That's kind of a really important feature, and that's something Maddie and I emphasize when we supervise as well. being able to easily access boards that you've used in the past. Go back to refer to them, not just during the tutoring session, but a week later to prepare for your exams and things like that. So that's another feature that really how we found very valuable for tutoring. Image and file uploading and annotation as another one. Being able to quickly upload images, write over them, write around them. And then apps available within the whiteboard. So this is, I think, probably one of the more unique features that we have found in Pencil Spaces that we haven't seen elsewhere. But the ability to, instead of going to a new tab to open a web page or to open a resource and share that screen, the platform allows you to bring that onto the board within the board. So it helps students stay on the whiteboard without having to open something new and then share. And Maddie and I were joking yesterday, the experiences we had with screen sharing at the beginning of online tutoring. You don't know what's on students' desktops, right?
Yeah, had a lot of conversations. Get your own personal stuff open. What's your background?
So what's your background picture? Is it proper for a tutoring session? Do you have a tab open with some questionable things on it? So this kind of helps avoid some of that. They don't have to leave the space. They can just, use it within that. But I'll show you an example of that. So this was an example of so this is the whiteboard within Pencil Spaces. You see the tools on the side. There are also more tools here that pop up. But this is one of our programming tutors. As you can see, she has multiple boards. So this is one's called math methods, if else, and or. So these are different topics within that session, or this could also be multiple sessions where she is organizing the boards by topic. So she uses this board for one topic, adds another board, names it. And she can come back and add more to it. The student can come back and refer to it even when it's outside of the session. So that's been really valuable to have this organized, because sometimes the tutor, as you know, can meet with the student 10 times, 15 times during a semester if they meet on a weekly basis. And they can come back and use the same space. We encourage tutors, if you're meeting with the same tutor for the same course, use the same space and keep adding, organizing to it so that the student has now the space they can come back to and have all of their tutoring session information in one place as opposed to in 10 different places. So this is a feature I think our tutors really appreciate. I think it helps us as supervisors to go back and see the history of things as well. And there's also a recording associated with each of the sessions that we can review as supervisors as well. So organized space, naming of boards, reusing the same space, and that it happens easily, that it's not a complicated process. I think those are important pieces that I want to highlight. The annotation one I told you about, students can upload a document onto a board, and then this is an architecture exercise. The student uploaded it. Now the tutor and the student can write on top of it, right? They can circle on it, and this is the right, and then put arrows and write things on the board. This is an architecture drawing that they just put on there and they have discussions over it. This is a math worksheet. Maybe a student had it on their table, probably took a picture and uploaded it. So really, instead of having to rewrite everything that's in your notebook and things like that, quickly putting it on the board, and not just being able to write around it, but to be able to write on it, that's important, because I've seen sometimes the situations where a platform would allow you to upload it, but you can't write over it. This does help you write over it, which we really like. So that's an example of annotation and image upload. And this is the apps that I mentioned to you about, the resource that I want to show. These are a lot of different apps that are available. It's not all of them, but you can scroll down and search for them in the platform. So things like, the web viewer, or you can put your Google Drive, OneDrive right directly onto the board. You can put a timer, or you can put YouTube on there, or geometry tools and math tools, like music tools. So for different subjects, they have apps that you can bring onto the board. And kind of what that looks like is like this. So you go to the viewer, and then when you say web viewer, it just puts a window onto the board. And then both the tutor and the student can, type in the URL, click on the different items of the website, which is really great. Same with like putting a YouTube video on here. So somebody can put it on, but both of them can work on it. And you can also do like some subject specific tools, like a periodic table, instead of taking a periodic table that you have saved on your computer or on the web. You can just type periodic table, it puts it on here. This one is actually a collaborative periodic table where if student or tutor clicks on the elements, they get like information about those elements. So just this I think is really a really cool feature that helps focus the tutoring session within the board and eliminates the need to go in and out of the board. I think that's a really great feature. So, and this is an example of kind of how it works, where in this case, Ben and a student or somebody else using the calculator rule, the calculator on the board, and you can see both of them are interacting with it. And here they're using a web viewer, and they're using Wikipedia and other things. So they're having discussions, they're reviewing things together. So this is a really, kind of really great feature to kind of enhance the quality of the tutoring. You may not think about it, but within that 1 hour session, the ability to do these kinds of things makes the tutor's life easier, makes the session more focused within the board. So those are just a few features that I want to highlight. And just to go back, again to the student experience, when we ask students about, what are the things that you like about using this platform? So these are some of the quotes. I just want to highlight the things that they say about, they like the built-in tools, the upload of documents directly onto the whiteboard, being able to simultaneously see the board and see the video, which does not exist in all platforms. So that students can come back to the board and review the notes anytime they want. So this is some of the feedback that we've received from students that are using it in terms of what they value from the platform, and they do mention a lot about the built-in tools that make their life easier. So I asked all these students, the same question. You see, some of them wrote like really beautiful sentences. And one student just said, "My experience is very chill." So we accept that kind of feedback too. So just want to put that there. Are we on time? 1:33. Yeah, we're good. So a couple of things, just to wrap it up from my end. My thinking when I was preparing this was, how can we share something that can help other learning centers when they are trying to make this choice? So from my experience, it would be like, create a detailed list. What are the features that are essential for your tutors, your tutees, your learning center? Create a detailed list of those. Hopefully that document that I shared with all the different options gives you a starting point if you want to use it. And another one thing I want to emphasize, just don't assume, ask questions, meaning like just because something exists doesn't mean it's easy to use, right? 2, 3, 4, 5 platforms can have, a whiteboard, but that's what is available within it. Even a tool within a whiteboard is very different from one platform to another. And since 2020 or so, the number of places that you can get this, an online tutorial has grown, right? Because the need has grown. So when you try to do a search, you're going to get all these different options. People are going to recommend things to you. Maybe your supervisor is going to send you like something that they receive, like try this. So you have to kind of be smart about picking your choice, because the choice that you make, you probably don't want to change your mind within a year, right? You want to stick with that choice. So ask questions, review demos, dedicate time for using it. You have to try it yourself, and you have to have your students try it in order for you to make a decision. And I said this earlier, platform features need to be easy to access and easy to use. If they're not, students are just not going to use them, right? So if something takes 5 clicks and something takes 2 clicks, students are going to go with something that takes 2 clicks. So don't just be satisfied with, oh, this feature exists, but how does it work? Does it work seamlessly? Is it easy to access? Is it easy to use? If it is those two things, then students and tutors will use it. If not, even though you have it, it's not going to be utilized as much. And then a couple of possible challenges that I want you to kind of think about. Tutor adaptation. If your tutors have been using a particular way of tutoring for a long time, when you do the training, everybody's going to be excited about it. Everybody's going to try it. But sometimes if you don't do continual training and check in on tutors, they might just revert back to using just the basic features. So you might want to do some additional guidance and training. You might want to provide them with some specific examples. And then reviewing session recording. So in our instance of the relationship we have Pencil, we do have automatic recordings, meaning our tutoring sessions are automatically recorded. So as supervisors can go back and view them whenever we would like. But that creates also a challenge, right? It creates a lot of great information. Like, I love seeing them because I can see if my tutors are applying their training, right? Are they, from the greeting the student to asking questions, listening, it really gives me an insight of like, oh man, sometimes I really get happy when I see a tutor doing like so many things right. And then if a tutor is missing something, then that's a conversation I'll have with them. So it creates a lot of great information, but you have to have time to do it. So you have to ask yourself, when and how will you view these recordings? And do you have enough staff time to do so? So Maddie and I, that's one of our biggest challenges that we're trying to solve. We're trying to get better at in terms of finding the time to view as many as we can so that we get a better understanding of our program. Because this is great insight if you have it. So that's just kind of my part of like focusing on the tutor tutee experience and what I believe kind of from that environment piece is really helpful to consider when choosing an online tutoring platform. And Pencil Space, this is not the only thing we do in Pencil Spaces. We do other things too, but we don't do everything either. They offer things that we are currently not using as well. So I want to give some time to Ben so he can give you a little bit of an overview of Pencil from that perspective.
Thanks, Tadios.
The down button.
Down button advances, and then we got the little laser here. I'm just going to click that button there. Great. Well, thanks a bunch. Obviously, NYIT is making fantastic use of Pencil Spaces and running a really, really great online tutoring program. They are really excelling and pushing the boundaries of what the virtual classroom can do, but we actually do more than just the virtual classroom. So I know you mentioned that you're transitioning off of WC Online and you're looking at potential solutions. We also have scheduling that integrates right in with that virtual classroom. We do automated attendance and analytics. We've got AI tools that are built in and we're rolling out more all the time. And then we also do integrations because our main goal is to make life easy for the administrators and then to enhance what's happening in the tutoring sessions. So this is sort of our philosophy. This is just our sense of like, everything that goes into getting a student into class. We support classroom setup with AI because particularly if you're dealing with student tutors, they are not necessarily professional teachers. So we help them build worksheets. We help them build outlines for class and pull in the right resources using AI. Then we've got the scheduling built in, which NYIT is not currently using, though we hope to get them integrated with, I know they're using Slate to get our system integrated with Slate. And then that just makes it really easy to join class. You've got the No Tabs virtual classroom. It helps you generate the attendance and the data that you're looking for to optimize what's going on in those classes. And it really is just an entire ecosystem that makes the whole thing really, really smooth and seamless. So what Tadios was talking about in terms of 1 click versus 5 clicks, that's sort of what we're going for here. And we actually work with several schools that have seen increases in attendance for classes and sessions because it's so much simpler than trying to go to one place for scheduling, find that Zoom link, click that Zoom link, and then for the administrators to go and try to review all of that stuff in these different platforms. So this is just a still sort of example of what the scheduling is like. You've got your schedule built in. If you're using Google, if you're using Outlook, if your students are using any of these tools, if you invite them via email, it's going to automatically place that event directly on their calendar. Again, we do integration. So if they're using a calendar that is internal to your university, then that'll show up on their calendar automatically as well. And then we can do sort of the scheduling here as well, the book a session, tutors can set their availability, and that way you can have it all integrated and seamless, and then folks just get to class when they're supposed to be there. And then as mentioned, we're tracking the attendance and other analytics and all of that. So when people joined, exactly how much live time they're getting with their tutors, like how long have they been on that video call. And then we've also got the solo time. So as Tadios mentioned, you can go back and enter that space anytime you want, review that content, and we're tracking when those students are in there looking at content outside of that live time. And then we've also got engagement. So space time and space duration and background, that's everybody's favorite. As Tadios was saying, you can put documents in there, websites in there. There's no reason to be in a space and then go to another tab or another window. So if you do go to another tab or another window, we are tracking that time. So you can tell whether those students are really paying attention in the midst of that tutoring session. And then we've also got speaking time. So are your students talking? Is the tutor taking up 99% of the time? These are just sorts of things to help coach tutors, help coach students, ensure that they're getting the most out of their sessions. And then we've also got some AI things built in, as I mentioned. So we've got the content generation. So if you don't know what you necessarily want to do to help teach this student, you want to generate math problems, you want to generate worksheets, or you want to generate an activity, you can ask Pencil Spaces to create one for you. You can edit that, of course, but then you can sort of work through that without having to come up with all of the stuff on your own. Suggestions for tutors. So it's tracking, for example, how long each person is talking. If you're talking 99% of the time, you can get a little alert that says, hey, you've been talking for a while. Maybe you should let that student get a word in edgewise. Over here, Tadios mentioned that they're recording all of their sessions, and that's really fantastic for doing sort of quality assurance and all of that, but it's a lot of content to review potentially. So we've got AI that can see what's going on. It's going to summarize what's happening. You can get alerts for inappropriate language and all of these things. And that way you can cut down the number of hours you're spending actually reviewing live video to just pull out the things that the system thinks might be worth checking out instead of having a bunch of folks watch hours and hours. And then this is a really nice one folks really like. Pencil Spaces is open. They click to another tab or another window. We saw in the analytics, it's tracking how much time somebody spends away. But also, as it's happening, the tutor gets a little alert that, hey, these people or the student is actually looking at a different screen. So maybe you want to gently bring their attention back to the session. And then, as I mentioned, integrations. So we understand that people have their own systems. Like NYIT, a lot of our the folks we work with start with the virtual classroom, or they start with the scheduling, and then they slowly bring in other elements because changing everything at once can be, quite difficult. It can be a big lift. Or the universities, even for folks who really want to do everything all at once and want to switch over entirely, the university might have pre-existing systems that they're not willing to change because you're working with other departments and what have you. So we can integrate with other systems like Slate, like Blackboard, like WC Online, and that way you can have the tool that you want and maintain that sort of seamless experience for your students, for your administrators, and still get the analytics that you're looking for in terms of attendance, in terms of those recordings. And it just makes everything really nice and seamless. And that's pretty much it. I don't want to take too much time. The hero of the story is really what NYIT has been able to accomplish. So questions?
Quick question. What you just said right at the end.
Sure.
Integration. That's integrated with Zoom.
So we actually don't integrate with Zoom because we've got our own virtual classroom solution. We've never, for folks who have used the virtual classroom solution, we've never had somebody say, can I use Zoom? It's, to Tadios's point, the experience for the students and the tutors just tends to be better, and they've got all of the educational apps and tools built right in. So nobody's ever asked us to sub Zoom for what we're basically providing as part of the package.
That's true.
On the scheduling person, we've matched one-to-one tutor to student, and then they keep a routine schedule throughout the year. Is that part of the scheduling software that we use now? Has the ability to send like a text reminder? Is that an option with this platform?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. It works just like a Google Calendar or another scheduling system. All that sort of stuff that you'd expect is baked in with email reminders, SMS reminders, all that stuff can be done.
I have another question.
Hit me, or Tadios,
This is an
whomever.
opportunity, but the 5-second rule, I'll ask now. I've been looking for something this year. We have tutors, we have peer assistant learning leaders, we have academic coaches, but we have SI leaders who are embedded in courses. Do you have any experience with anyone using SI leaders for pencil spaces? Where these tutors are not inside the center, they're inside classrooms, they're inside Blackboard classroom, they're using white space. Do you have any experience of anyone using it with SI leaders?
Yeah, so we have a lot of folks who use SI leaders or like TAs to help students along. Are you talking about while they're in the middle of class?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Pencil Spaces, unlike I think really any other whiteboard product, has breakout rooms of whiteboards integrated with the video calling. So if you are in the middle of a class, a SI leader or a TA can take a student who's got a question and move them to an entirely separate video call with its own collection of whiteboards, or create a private board for that student in the main conversation that only that student and that TA or SI leader can see. And that way you can sort of do targeted intervention in the midst of class. I'm happy to show you more about that. I can show you a full demo of how that works.
How do your SI sessions, like, are your students offering sessions like outside of the class?
They are
Or?
both inside and outside.
So they're helping inside the class and then holding supplemental sessions outside.
Exactly. They're doing it outside, and it can be anywhere once they're outside. My challenge has been, they've been all over the place. I want to try to get them on one platform. And data collection for me has been very difficult because they have to put everything on a worksheet and
Right.
email it over. And by the time I look at their attendance, it's 3 weeks down the road. They say, Greg, I can't give you the data this week, next week. I'm getting data at the end of the semester because they didn't put their entries in right away. We're probably here, it'd be real time.
Exactly, yeah. So you've got the analytics that just get populated. You can run reports effectively on who's using the platform at what times and who's there.
And they don't have to do any data collection.
No, none whatsoever.
Right.
That's my question.
Learning summary is that because we currently we're paying our students probably more than this costs a year to write session notes.
Oh yeah, okay.
And so we're paying them to do that every year. So
Yeah, like this thing right here.
yeah, and I'm like, if I could just take that time, take time off of them,
Yeah,
they're gonna be happy.
they'll be happier. Yeah, absolutely.
And it essentially would pay for itself. Probably 4 times and over. Because we're scaling from, I'm also thinking we're scaling from 60 tutors to probably closer to 100 over the next year.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
So
that's
like,
good.
it's going to get more expensive to have them. So is that a searchable? Like, is that
Yeah, I mean,
by tutor or by who they were working with or both or?
Oh, so the access to these notes is configurable.
Okay.
So you can set that up however you like. What it's going to do is going to take sort of what was said in that class and then convert that to text, so you'll have a transcript. So you'll also be able to go back. Let's say you'll get the summary, right?
Mhm.
And you'll say, well, I want to search for this topic in this video. You'll also be able to punch in your keyword search and jump to that part of the video and just review, those 3 minutes, right? So it's going to tell you, they talked about XYZ thing, 1, 2, 3. And you're going to say, I want to look at what was said at 2. Or the system might say, something inappropriate might have happened around this topic, or something incorrect. So you can just pop in the search term and it's going to bring you to that part of the video as well. I can show you how that works if you want later.
That's super cool.
Address that. I didn't realize I did that question too, so.
Yeah, I was over here running math like that's.
Can those generated summaries be then emailed to instructors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can have, so the integrations as well, what I'll say is we also do customizations. So there's a full API. So we integrate with other systems. And if you wanted a custom feature or you wanted to send information or data to other people, or you wanted to generate reports that are specific, all of that could be done programmatically and you can set it up to run every day, every week, whatever it was.
I think we're agree, buddy. So that's a common thing that tutors actually enjoy the tutoring part. They don't like writing session summary, right? They don't like writing those reports.
Like doctor's notes.
Yeah, because like they get done with it and they're like, oh, now I have to write a report and submit it. So I think that's a common thing amongst, I think, most learning centers. Go, you're asking this.
Yeah, I had a question on integrations also.
Sure.
So in terms of our replacement for WC Online is we've been given a scheduling platform. They're going to mandate that we use Salesforce
For scheduling?
Yeah, super bizarre. Not happy with it, but
Interesting.
the
Yeah,
whole
interesting
university wants to run Salesforce back end everything, and so they're trying to put advising and our learning assistants on this. They haven't given us, because it's Salesforce, a really good platform like this for the online like instruction.
Yeah.
Would that be something that? So I think their vision for this right now is that when a student books an online appointment, it populates a Zoom.
Right. Yeah.
Would we be able to do an integration here where when someone books on Salesforce, it populates instead of pencil spaces?
Correct. Exactly. It works exactly like that. You can do that with Google. You can do that with whatever platform you might be using. So yes.
Awesome. See, that to me, that's really exciting. So I want to follow up.